What is up? Welcome to the NBA Rundown, brought to you courtesy of Run Pure Sports and Run Pure Best. I'm your host, Astaire, and we have a full panel today. Grab all the guys that come on and help us out during the year. Tyler's going to be here too. He's just running a little late, but we figured we would get started. And like JSU said right before we started, there's going to be plenty of Milwaukee Bucks talk here as we preview the Eastern Conference playoffs. So we'll go around. We'll do a quick round of introductions, and we will jump right in. Travis, are you pretty excited for the Eastern Conference?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for the Eastern Conference. It should be fun. I mean, it's really deep this year, right? I mean, most years the West has been like the best, and now it's the other way. The East is where it's at. Like the East has a lot of depth. I think both will be fun, but I'm really excited to see how it all shakes out. I wish some of these guys weren't injured. I think that's the one thing I wish I could take out. But hey, I'm excited to watch some NBA playoff basketball because so far when we watched that Timberwolves and Grizzlies game, like that atmosphere was awesome. Like give me that every single night. Last night, it was a little lame, but I'm hoping Friday night we can get that, and leading into the weekend, it'll just be absolutely awesome.
Yeah, after how fun Tuesday night was, right? Last night was wow. I was so amped up too, and just not the competitive basketball that we wanted. Title last year, we celebrated lifting the trophy, right? Took a stand on the Bucks, and hey, a little luck along the way, but they didn't tell me I got lucky when I was buying stuff at the grocery store with the money we won, right? They didn't say, hey, this is lucky, we're not going to take the money. I still got as much steak and eggs as I needed. So how excited are you to defend this championship here for the Milwaukee Bucks title?
Yeah, I mean, you called it last year, spread. You were all over them. I actually picked the Nets over the Bucks in that series because I thought Harden and Kyrie would be healthy. Obviously, when one goes down and then they both do, the whole series changes. But this year, yeah, I mean, man, if you win it, like you said, spread, you cash those tickets. It doesn't matter how you get there; they'll pay the bills for sure. It's Deer District season, spread. I'll be back in Wisconsin in probably about 2 weeks. About to book the flights. Very excited. I think they got the best player in the league. I think they got the best team. Excited to talk about it, though. It's not going to be easy. As Mangone said, the East is better than the West, and it hasn't been like that for a while. So playoffs are going to be one of the best times of the year, in my opinion. Just really high-level basketball with guys competing all 48 minutes, which you don't always see in the regular season. Two completely different games of basketball if you really look at regular season, most of it, and especially this regular season with COVID and each team going through stretches where they're pulling guys out from G League and all that stuff. This is going to be high-level basketball, good competition, so I'm excited.
Yeah, and JSU, someone should have sent the Charlotte Hornets that memo last night, right, about raising your level of intensity for the playoffs because, boy, I hope if I go out this weekend, I get the same red carpet treatment to that the Hornets gave the Hawks to the rim there, right? I mean, just let them right by, open the velvet rope, and let them right in. But how excited are you for this Eastern Conference? I mean, I think this is the most wide open it's been in years.
Yeah, I mean, this Eastern side is going to be fun. I mean, the West is going to be good too, but I definitely think some of these series in the East, and in the first round too, I mean, it's not going to be like the first round cakewalks for a lot of these top tier teams because we got some teams, like the Nets that they're one of like the most what are their odds to win right now, like the third best or something like that.
Yeah.
Like they're one of the best teams by the odds, but they're seventh. You know what I mean? They really and truly they should be one of the top seeds, but it doesn't help when Harden gets traded, the guy you trade for really doesn't play, and then Kyrie can't play home games for X amount of games, and all that stuff definitely factored into where they were seeding wise, like no doubt in my mind. Also, let's be honest, like those guys, you can tell when playoff time comes, it's a little different. The switch gets flipped a little. You know what I mean? Some of the playing, I mean, just looked how locked in those guys were for that little playing game. They didn't want to play again, right? They didn't want to lose and have to they wanted it done with. They got it done. They're in. Now they're ready to play. I think it's the Celtics. They're playing in the first round. So it should be really interesting. And, man, no one told the Hornets knew they were playing in a playoff game situation. They just didn't actually bring their game with them. Yeah. I mean, they tried to listen. They tried when a playoffs come. The main thing is adjustments. Teams adjust. Teams defensively, we all know this. They'll guard star players differently than they will in the regular season. Like there's more game plan that goes into it. We watched it. We watched what they tried to do to Trey in the first half, and it didn't work. They tried to get the ball out of his hands. They tried to trap him. They tried to force the ball out. And what did they end up doing? They ended up leaving wide open runs to the basket for Capella. They ended up leaving wide open shooters like Kevin Huerter, DeAndre Hunter, who were making them pay in the beginning. And then what did that make them do in the second half? It made them change their game plan and defensive strategy. And when they changed it again, it still didn't work. And they got pounded even more because they weren't trapping on Trey. So Trey was getting some free runs to the hoop. And it's tough, man. You gotta, the game plans, you can say it in your head, this is what we're going to do, but you got to execute it. And then the coach you can't say, defensively is where, we struggled in the first quarter, and then keep Isaiah Thomas on the floor as they're just picking on him constantly. Like, what are you doing? Do you see the one play where I think it was Trey, he stepped over half court, saw Kevin Huerter was behind him right at the hoop, and he just threw it at the hoop, and Kevin Huerter caught the lob and laid it in, and IT2 was just standing in front of him.
Yeah.
What are we doing here? And you're down 15 at this point. Why is he in the game? What are you doing?
Yeah, probably just because Terry Rozier was so rough there, trying to get a different look here. And
you
no
can't
NBA.
say you need defense, though, spread, and then keep Thomas on the floor. You can't say, we need defense after the first quarter and then have Isaiah Thomas on the floor. It made no sense whatsoever.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you there. I mean, I don't like Isaiah Thomas minutes, and I was surprised he was still in the league after those COVID things ended because, it's great to give up 20, score 20, but when you give up 30, right, doesn't help your team too much. Tyler, resident boy genius, is it going to be a little harder to hit these home run parlays now that the playoffs have started?
I mean, I hope not. I hope we're still going to be able to hit them. We're just going to have less games every night. So
we had more winners in the Discord last night. Am I right?
Yep, we got one home last night.
Yeah, so great work, man. And I know everyone's real excited about the work you've been doing. So introductions are over. Let's dive right in, and let's go right to the best series because we do have some time restrictions here. People might be dropping out, right, if we go too long. So let's do the best stuff to start. And I want to talk about the Toronto Raptors and the Philadelphia 76ers, right? And JSU, we got to do this one about 2 weeks ago, right, or a week ago when they faced on a day that you were on the show. And, I like the Raptors, you like the Sixers, blah, blah, blah. I'm not trying to victory lap too much, but the main thing I got from that show was I said, how much of this game are you going to take into your playoff preview? So I want to start with you. What did you see in that game, and does that affect how you're going to approach this series? When I'm looking at the series lines right now, Raptors plus 157, 76ers minus 176.
Yeah, so it's funny. Me and Mangone talked about it a little bit. So Mangone kind of knows my take on this, but I'm going to give you your props, and you were right on the Raptors. I think the main thing that worries me the most is I think James Harden is washed. I actually just Kyrie Irving's probably right. Kyrie Irving called him out. It was one of the things they said that pissed off Harden a ton when Kyrie was just doing and beating him up in practice and calling him washed and whatever. And it was one of the things that kind of Harden started getting upset about, obviously. I think he might be. I watched James Harden for years, and you watch him now, he looks very different, especially when he's driving to the basket. Forget about him not getting fouls called. Just throw that aside. Old James Harden still finishes through contact. He's still strong in the upper body. He still can finish through. This James Harden looks lost. I watched him drive to the right 3 different times, and it looked like he didn't even know how to get the shot off, how to get the attempt at the rim. He just needed the foul. He couldn't even figure out how to get the ball towards the hoop, and the defender is on his hip. So he can't get by anyone. That's the other thing. He's not getting by anyone. So it's just that step back 3 now. And if he's not getting foul calls, it's all it is a step back 3 game. That's all he's got. And he seems a step slower on that. I watched him get blocked. I don't know. That's the thing that worries me the most. I hate it because I have to go against my rule in the first round, which is always bet the best player. which would be Joel Embiid in the series. No doubt in my mind, he's the best player. But I'm going to give it to you. You're probably right on the Raptors. They got the length to at least, I don't know about bother Joel Embiid. Like Joel Embiid can still dominate on anyone. It doesn't matter how lanky you are. But, they at least have defensive bodies to throw at him. And, man, they did that without Fred VanVleet. Like, Fred VanVleet is an absolute animal defensively. Like, he gets up in people's grill. Yeah, I think the Raptors win. I've done a complete and utter flip around spread. So, I'll give you your props. I'm with you, Raptors. I don't know how far the series goes. I haven't gone that far into it. I don't think they sweep them or anything. I think it's a close series. I think the Raptors do find a way to get it done, though, in the end.
Yeah, I mean, I think LeBron and Chris Paul have some unrealistic expectations set for us with these older players. But LeBron, right? I mean, that guy takes care of his body 100%. He's tracking every calorie he puts in his body. Very judicious about his alcohol intake.
Right? Is that where you're going with it?
That's
Harden
exactly
is definitely not tracking what he's putting in his body.
When you're doing that, I think it's harder to age. So, Travis, I'm going to throw this to you. Is James Harden washed, and how are you approaching this series?
I can't go out and say he's washed yet, but I don't disagree with a lot of what JSU is saying. Like, I think there is some reality to what he's thinking. Also, on top of it, Harden, he's not getting the fouls this year, right? And he's not going to certainly just get him in the playoffs out of nowhere. I mean, so this is the one series I'm still kind of waffling on and still don't know my answer completely. I think the best call, this is what I would do, spread. If I was betting series and I was betting every single one, I would make sure in the East, I would bet the Raptors and I would bet the Nets. And here's why. I can get both at plus money. I feel confident at least one of them is going to win. I don't think I'll get swept. And I kind of also feel confident that there's a chance I can get both. So I don't see the Celtics and the Sixers advancing, both of them. I just think one of them, it'll go your way where you'll get the plus money on both sides. And there's a chance you can just sweep the board too. So I think if I do place a bet on it, that's how I'm going to place the bet. I think that is my plan of attack. I think sometimes people are not ready to get off of a team when we think that they're the Sixers. We think Harden and Embiid, they're easily going to win. And I'm with JSU. I typically don't like betting against the best player in the series. But I do think the Raptors are a good enough team and capable of being able to come out and have a big game. So I'm excited to watch this series. It's definitely going to be a fun one to watch. And maybe in the end, the chess match of Nick Nurse versus Doc Rivers could be the difference. It certainly can. We've seen it with Rick Carlisle, I believe, last year. I think it was JSU was all over that, saying that he would win the one coaching matchup. So I think that overall, there's just a lot of things that are pointing me and grabbing the plus money if I had to pick a side. But this isn't one I have a strong take on, and I'm making it a 10-unit whale play or whatever everyone calls it on Twitter.
Title, how are you approaching the Raptors and the Sixers?
I think we talk about a lot on the MMA show where you can bet something because you think there's value on it, whereas you think the other team's going to win. And I'm kind of there in this matchup. I think if I had to pick gun to my head, I'm picking the 76ers. I like taking the best player for sure. I still think they have the best two players. I don't believe Harden is washed. I think we'll see a different Harden. I think he came to Philly wanting to fit in everyone, the whole media, everyone has an outlook on Harden and selfishness and just jacks it up, all this. I think he knew that, and he wanted to come in and at least assert him as a team player, pass first, getting other people's respect. And then as the time gets going and later in games, Joel is going to get double teamed. He's going to have to get double teamed all series. No one can match up one-on-one against him. So now I think Harden's going to have to do more. I think Tyrese Maxey is a good basketball player. I think he can make open shots. Tobias is a big one in this matchup too, for sure. He's gone through stretches where he's played awful and the teams looked awful. And then when he plays well, he's going to be one-on-one all series long. Scotty Barnes is a good defender. It's a really good series at the end of the day, but I do like taking the best player. It's the clear best player in the series. I think they have the second best player in the series too. I think it's a dogfight. I will say the one thing people aren't talking about that I think should be talked about more is Matisse Thybulle can't play in Toronto. I'm a big Matisse Thybulle guy. He's almost all, if you look at his plus minus, almost every game it's in the plus. He'll chase around your best player. He'll shut him down. He's a ball hawk on the defensive end, and they don't need him to score when he plays with Harden and Embiid. So when they're playing in Toronto, I'm nervous. I think this game goes late in the series because I think Toronto can pull out a lot of games at home. I think Matisse Thybulle loss is big because then they play George Niang, which, Niang on the offensive end spreads the court for sure. But what, Scotty, who's he going to check on the defensive end? Whoever he guards, the other guy, Siakam, Scotty Barnes, Gary Trent even, they're all way too athletic for Niang on that side of the ball. So it's going to be a really, really fun series. I think it's one of the hardest in the East to predict. I think 76ers win, but are you going to lay minus 180 on them? I don't think you should. So that's my look on it.
Title makes a great point there about Matisse Thybulle not being available in Toronto. You know what that means? More Korkmaz minutes. Well, he's great on the offensive end. Boy, that's going to just look like a huge target there for Nick Nurse designing those offenses.
Just another guy like Niang, just a guard, same guy like Niang. They can score, they can shoot on the offensive end, but on the defense, it's a liability.
Yeah. All right, Tyler, you've been hitting the home run parlay, so we got you batting cleanup here. Give us your take on the Sixers and the Raptors.
Yeah, man, I got to side with Title here. I think Philly's going to win it. No, I'm not running to bet that number, just like he said, minus 180. I don't think it's worth it because I think the Raptors do have a legitimate chance here with no Thybulle there. The bench minutes in this series are clearly going to be won by the Raptors. Just like you guys said, we're going to get Korkmaz minutes. We're going to get Niang minutes. Danny Green's going to have to play some in this series because they don't have anybody else coming off that bench. When Toronto sends guys in, they're probably going to beat them in those minutes. So I could definitely see this series going 6 to 7 games. I'm not going to bet that minus 180. I'm not going to bet the Raptors plus 150, but if you bet series totals games, 6 games is plus 195, 7 games is plus 190. I'll scrape my profit that way in this series and just stay away from the winner.
I like that.
If you like Toronto, Tyler, what about so let's say I like Toronto, right? And I'm sold on that side. What about Raptors 4-2? Do you think they can get it done in Game 7 in Philly? I know that they did it in 2019 or whatever, but
he's not taking Raptors 4-2. He just said Philly wins.
I know, but I'm asking him.
He always asks me these questions, JS.
Yeah.
He just says, I can't go against Philly here. And then Spread goes, well, what do you think of Raptors 4-2, Tyler?
Okay, no,
what do you think of that right now?
Spread, if you ask me that question, I get what you're saying, Spread. I would say I think that's viable since you believe the Raptors do it. So I think what you said, I agree. I think it would make sense.
I'm just okay. So if people have listened to the panel, we're split, and I'm just saying there might be a different way to approach it. Rather than taking the plus 150, you could get that huge payoff on the 4-2, or maybe just throw like a quarter unit on the 4-2 as well. That's all I was asking. Maybe I should have asked a Toronto backer instead. She said, "You want to throw it out there for us?"
All the panelists here to put their friggin' nuts on the table and make a goddamn pick and stick with it. How about that? I got killed by ODB because in the Super Bowl, I said that they were going to cover, but the other side was going to win, and I got killed for it. You can't do the same thing. I can't. Either you can do it or you can't do it. Either they're going to win or they're not going to win.
Big T did it for NBA.
The value of the other team. I don't want to hear that shit. I want winners.
All right.
Hold on. Big T did that on the basketball show, and he cashed both of them.
I know he did. And then Mangone tried to do it with the Spurs. I got to know, is this like okay to do, or is this not okay? I mean, I got a professional.
I think it's okay to do.
I mean, if
I got a professional guy in ODB who's won the Circa, and he killed me for it on Twitter. Tried to kill me anyways, tried to put old JSU in the ground, and then comes back in Big T's doing it. ODB, why aren't we getting on Big T? I'm gonna message him. I'm gonna tell him about it. He better kill him on Twitter like he tried to do to me.
All right. Well, you resolve that, and this is good, Jason. You keep me on my toes. Policing the show, making me a better host. I will work on that. But let's go straight to the good series, right? Because we are crunched on time, and if I lose you guys, I'd rather talk about these ones. The Brooklyn Nets will start on Sunday. They're currently plus 127 in Boston, taking on the Celtics. This is a great storyline, right? Of course, Travis. We'll start. I'll put it on the platter for you. You get the Kyrie revenge angle. But other than that, I mean, just look at the two teams. If you take the personalities out, right, you have one team with the established stars, these veterans who have actually got it done, rings on their fingers, right, performed in crunch time, versus the team that started bad. If you go back to our NBA rundowns in December, we're trading these guys off. we were trading Jaylen Brown off around Christmas time, right? Because the Celtics were underperforming so bad since the start of the new year. Between them and the Dallas Mavericks, they've been circling between the best teams and the best defenses in the NBA, and I think they had it right towards the end. But a big key to that defense, Robert Williams. Don't expect to see him here tonight. Horford, great veteran. Tice, I don't know what to make of him, if he's really still going to be able to contribute, but at least it's a veteran option to come off the bench. You have some Grant Williams action there as well. But it seems to me that this series might come down to the big dogs. And on the underdog side, I got Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, right? So I got the best two scorers on the floor. Man, I know a lot of smart people are on the Celtics, but I keep looking at that Nets number and thinking I want to go that way. Travis, you're a Celtics fan. You're dialed in with the guys in green. What do you think of the Nets and the Celtics, Travis?
I wish Robert Williams was in. Like, it's very tilting. I wanted to see him in that matchup. The Nets have definitely the best player in the series. Do they have the two best? You can make an argument Tatum over Kyrie, I think. Like, if you're talking both ends of the floor, I think you can make that argument. I don't know if I'm for sure going to plant my flag on it, but I think it's an interesting debate. KD, though, he is just the best player. It's him or Giannis for me, like the best player in the world right now. Yep. So KD is definitely going to be impressive. I lean with grabbing that Nets money, as sad as it is to say. The one thing, Spread, just to give you a little narrative for you, I don't know if you heard Grant Williams. He calls himself Batman now because he stopped Joker once. So they have Batman to stop KD apparently. So I don't buy that at all. But Grant Williams is probably going to be up to the task because he thinks he's just an absolutely lockdown defender. It'll be fun to watch this series. If Robert Williams does come back, I do think they're definitely more live. And I think there could be some really good live betting opportunities throughout this series on the series bet. I think there could be some good chances. Also, what if the Nets integrate Ben Simmons and it doesn't work and it's just kind of messes up chemistry?
Then you just throw him to the bench. I don't think that's that hard.
You say you throw him to the bench, right? That's what you say to me, Spread. But here's the thing. I watch the Clippers out there. They run Zubac all game long, and it's the fourth quarter late in the game, and I watch them get cooked in the pick and roll, and D-Russ drains a three. These coaches do stupid stuff all the time. And I don't think Steve Nash is showing that he's the brightest coach in the world. So that is my huge concern. I think there are tons of ways where this series can alter back and forth. I wouldn't be shocked if we're watching this series play out, and in game one, we think, oh, man, KD's the best player in the world. We thought this. And then the Celtics steal one in Brooklyn, and then they win game three. And then it's it's 2-1. Let's see if the Nets can respond. I really think this will be a fun series overall. My lean is to take the plus money just because I think it's a close one. And I think that down the stretch in this series, the Simmons and the Robert Williams stuff can have a huge effect on the series. And that has me a little concerned. And that's why I'm kind of more on that plus money right now. I also don't buy that Ben Simmons is magically just going to show up throughout a series. I don't think it's going to happen. I feel like he's just not going to play the rest of the way. But we'll see kind of how it all plays out.
All right, Titletown. What do you think of this one?
Give me the best scorer in the world. Give me the second best scorer in this series, and I'm getting plus money with them. With the Celtics team, that Robert Williams is such a big part of this team. If Robert Williams is in this series, man, I probably am picking the Celtics. They're just deeper. They're more well-rounded. But KD and Kyrie is pretty much all you need, I think, in this series. So my approach on the Nets, I think the big key guy on their team, and they're going to go as far as he leads them or makes them go, is Seth Curry. I think he needs to make shots. But he's in the Joe Harris role from last year, and we saw last year Joe Harris played awful. He couldn't shoot the ball from deep. You always get open looks as a shooter when you play with KD, Kyrie. All the attention goes there. They have Bruce Brown, that pick and roll. Bruce Brown's always in the middle of the court. He draws attention. Seth Curry's going to get open looks. He missed them against the Cavs and all game. I'm saying, man, if he starts making shots, this team's going to be so difficult to beat. They need Drummond down low. We can all talk about Drummond, what he used to be in the past, all that stuff, but they need him on this team. He's going to play minutes. He's a big body, can rebound. He'll bang with some of the bigger guys. So he's important. I think everything lines up for Brooklyn in this series. I'm getting the dog price. Again, I like betting like JSU was talking earlier, Mangone, the best player in each series. And Embiid, I went with the last one. This one's pretty clear. We always talk about how good KD is, so I can't bet against him right now in round one when the legs are fresh too. The longer the playoffs go, obviously, as we know, since Nash will run these guys into the ground, the less I like Brooklyn, but they're fresh now, so that's my pick.
JSU, I think I have an idea of where you're going, but go ahead and confirm it.
Yeah. So there's two big X factors in this series. One is the biggest X factor for the Celtics is right now out. If you watch Robert Williams play against the Nets, he was someone that just was disruptive those games. Like he gave them issues. Defensively, he gave them issues. Offensively, he gave them issues. Look at the stats, too. The stats will back up what I'm saying, but I watched those games. He was a problem. And I mean, he would come out and hedge on a screen, and he was quick enough to get back. He was quick enough to contest shots and kind of like stay down until the shooter was shooting and just jump up and contest. He's very athletic, and you need someone like that against the Nets. See, the Bucks have someone like that. They've got Giannis. You know what I mean? We all take this like for granted, but like Giannis is that type of guy who can do that. You know what I mean? Teams need someone like that. So now you get Grant Williams, who is not someone like that. You get old Al Horford, not somebody like that, right? These are guys that Kyrie and KD are going to have no issues with switching out on and being like, okay, you want to switch out and stay on one of us? All right, we're going to cook you. Like, we're talking about the two best offensive players in all of basketball. These two are the two best just offense. I'm not talking about full game, total game, because then, yes, Giannis is one or two if we're talking full game. But offensively, no doubt in my mind, these are the two best guys. Nobody wants to be on an island against these two guys. Now you lose your best defender or one of your two best defenders, the guy that's going to get switched out on them, who you're probably the most comfortable out of the bigs getting switched out on. And that's just going to kill them in the series. So it stakes because I would give them a puncher's chance with Robert Williams. I don't give them much of a chance at all. I mean, I'm gonna hammer the Nets. I'm gonna take them. I'm gonna put as much money as I can on the Nets to win this series because I just think they're gonna win. Like the Celtics don't have it right now without Robert Williams. This is the best. This is the second or first best team in the East that they're going up against. It just stinks it's in the first round without Big Bob. So I mean, I think it's the Nets all day. Maybe it gets to maybe it's like 4-2 this series. I give the Celtics that much respect. You know what I mean? I'll give them 2 games, but I think in the end, it's just the Nets. And if this series did go 7 games, who are you putting your money on? Like, come on, right now, who are we putting our money on? KD, Kyrie, or Tatum and Jaylen Brown? I can't do Tatum and Jaylen Brown right now as much as I love Tatum. I think he's a superstar, but he's just not on their level.
This is his chance to prove it, but I agree with you right now. I'm going to go with the proven commodity rather than the penny stock that could go through the roof. Tyler, seems like this panel likes the Nets. What do you think?
I got to be different here. I talked down on them. I said
Love it. Let's go.
Second round. What'd you say?
I said, let's go. I want to hear it.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I'm going to take the Celtics here. Give me the better overall team. I know they have the better 2 scorers on the other side, but these legs got to give out eventually. They gave out last year. Kyrie's ankle blew up. KD just couldn't do it anymore. He just airballed that last 3 after 48 minutes of playing time. Yeah, it's going to take a lot to beat him here, but I think Robert Williams could come back into this series late if it's like game 5, game 6. So if he gets back, that's a big game changer. Smart will be chasing Kyrie around. You got to kind of let KD get his because if you try and game plan for him, you're kind of just taking everything out of play because you can't stop him. But you can kind of slow down Kyrie by throwing multiple bodies at him, try and keep him out of his spots. And then you just stop everybody else from scoring like 10 to 15 points. You're stopping guys like Bruce Brown, Seth Curry, who put up 0 in 35 minutes the other day. So you could stop these other guys to where those two can put up 85. Now all you have to do is score 90 and you beat them guys with your whole entire team. So I'm going to take the Celtics here. I'm going to be different. I think they get the job done.
I like that you're being different here, Tyler, but Marcus Smart, right? Defensive player of the year from all the votes that I'm seeing coming out. But he's not going to lock down Kyrie Irving. I don't think anybody can do it.
No,
right
you're
now.
not going to lock him down, but it's just annoy him, get him out of his spot. You know he wants that little mid-range jumper. You just step in his way, make him take the shot from 2 feet back farther than he likes to take it.
All right, well, this is going to be fun, and I'm glad we had a little bit of difference on the panel. You guys heard what Tyler said. Anyone want to jump in there and respond? It seems like you're ready to go, JSU.
I'll let Title go first.
No, I don't know why I'm muted. It's all you. I think it's gonna be a good series.
I
don't
just
have as strong as a
disagree.
take as you guys.
I just disagree that the
I
take.
think there's a lot that can change after game 4.
Well, first of all, so Tyler's main thing is they can throw bodies at Kyrie and try and slow him. They can try. I mean, have you seen that dude? No one is just one-on-one stopping him. And I guarantee you right now, the Celtics are hoping that Smart, maybe a mix of Smart and Jaylen Brown. I don't know. Because you're right. They're probably going to try and throw one or a few of them at him, right? They're not going to – I don't think they'll make Smart go at him the entire game.
Yeah, some Derek White in there too, right?
Yeah, some Derek White. Well, my point is, though, like, in the end – if you leave him single covered against anyone, he's going to end up winning the matchup. It's just the facts. Like, no one is going to stay in front of him all game, every game. This is a series too. I mean, even if he has one or two bad, like, he's not going to, I don't think I don't think both those guys combined are just having a really bad series against the Celtics team. Like I said, especially without Bob Williams. He is the key to their defense. You want to talk about Smart? That's fine. I'm from Boston. I know Marcus Smart. Everyone loves Marcus Smart. But I can tell you right now, I've watched the Celtics play. Robert Williams was the key to their defense. He was. And he's not there right now. So that is the biggest loss in the series. I also think, too, Title was talking about Seth Curry. I think Bruce Brown is probably the Nets' biggest factor because he's going to have the ball in his hands to make the plays. So you're right. Seth will have to hit the threes.
I just think Bruce Brown's like consistent. Like I know what I'm going to get from him.
That's not my point. My point is,
I agree what you're saying.
The person who's going to make the play is going to be Bruce Brown, right? So like Seth's going to have to finish, but Bruce is going to have to be like, he's going to have to read the defense and say, okay, they're giving me the lob to Claxton or Drummond. Okay, they're making me shoot this three in the corner because no one is coming out at me. Okay, Seth's wide open. I got to hit him. He's the guy, and defensively, he's going to have to guard Jaylen Brown, or, I mean, maybe he gets minutes on Tatum. So that's the other thing, too, not just on offense, but defense. He's going to have to, probably guard Jaylen for a little bit. I would assume KD guards Tatum, and KD is no slouch defensively, too. Let's talk about the Celtics defense. Well, I'll tell you right now, KD, he's not bad when he locks down. When it's playoff time and he's locking in, KD is a very, very capable defender. I even think Kyrie is too. When he wants to play defense, he can play defense. So let's just not say, all about the Celtics defense. I think these guys, when it comes to playoff time, you're going to see a little more defense out of them, which again puts me back on the Nets.
I know, man, Mangone brought it up quick, but like the Ben Simmons thing, because Bruce Brown's playing the Ben Simmons role right now, where they're going to leave him open from three, make him beat you there. He plays in the middle of the court. He screens, he rolls, he gets the mismatches, all that. I'm not buying the Ben Simmons comes back in games 4 to 6 either with Mangone. And to be honest, like, obviously if he comes back, they have to practice a lot and stuff like that. But like, I don't like Bruce Brown fits it so well right now. He knows his role. He gets in the middle of the court. It's the 1-on-2 against the big. He hits the floater or he throws it up. Like, he just knows what he's doing. He plays with like competitiveness. I don't know if I want Simmons to just randomly be thrown in a late series situation in a couple of games and just like, there's so many unknowns. It could go wrong so many ways. Whereas, Bruce Brown, like, KD and Kyrie, they're going to get their shots. If they make it, they win. If they don't, they don't. Who knows how many turnovers Simmons will, how the offense will run, stuff like that. So I think it would be a mistake bringing him back, to be honest.
What if they're like 3-1 in the series and he's ready to go, but Bruce Brown has been playing really well in the series? How do you take Bruce Brown out?
You don't. You take Drummond out. And you run Simmons.
You can't play. I'm sorry. I don't think it'll work playing Bruce Brown and Ben Simmons. I don't think. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Ben can play like.
I just think like you're gonna need a matchup. Maybe this one, but like like KD can't play the 5 in every matchup. Like, he's just not gonna be able to. Like, he takes on so much physically on the defensive end, and he needs his like. Giannis would absolutely baby that KD at the 5 lineup. They're gonna need Drummond in some lineups, and you can't.
But
play.
Against the Celtics,
actually, Title, I disagree.
Williams,
I think
Al Horford.
We'll get to that.
Claxton against Giannis.
I like Claxton. That's another thing. Like, you can play Claxton in lineups.
They've shown they put him on Giannis. They brought him off the bench and specifically had him guard Giannis off that second rotation around when Giannis would come back in. It's right when they put it. I think they think he has the best shot of staying in front of him without tiring KD out. Because like you said, if you put KD on him all series, it kills their chances. I think it's just,
and they know that. But so the thing is, I know we're getting ahead a little bit, like the second round or whatever. But if you play Claxton in, that means Claxton and Drummond, I pretty much look at the same, because you would never play a Claxton, Simmons, Bruce Brown lineup. Yeah. Like they just don't give you enough. So yeah, it'll be interesting spread in the Boston series. I see what you're saying though. Like KD can play the 5 because they don't have Time Lord down there. Maybe that lineup is interesting, but still, a Simmons and Bruce Brown playing together, I think there's better ways they can go.
I think the reason you bring in Simmons is if you're up 3-1 or down 3-1, where you already have enough breathing room and wiggle room to be able to make that like risky move. Because I think ultimately you're going to have to, the Nets aren't just going to, like, let's say they make it to the finals. Ben Simmons is going to play, right? He's not going to play the whole time. I mean, at some point he'll have to just get into the mix. I doubt he just sits there the entire time and doesn't. It sounds like they want to get him in there. So I think the ideal scenario to bring Ben Simmons in is when you're up a ton, or if you're down and it's just like, we've been struggling and it's kind of like a prayer to throw in there. That's where I see the perfect scenario for them to kind of start to mix that in. Or like if it's a blowout, right? Like let's say they're up like 25 in the fourth quarter, keep Kyrie and like KD in there for like the final like 4 to 6 minutes and bring Simmons in. I know it's not gonna be like the same situation, but I think it's good just to get it a look and just have it work, because if you think back to the Miami Heat, that first year that they were a team, they lost to that Mavericks team, the one with Dirk Nowitzki. And Dirk, I was listening to like a podcast he was on, and he even said, if we played that Heat team a year later, we would have got killed. And it's just because chemistry matters. Like being on a team together matters. One reason I think the Suns can actually get the job done is now they have a full year under their belt of working together. And some of that like small things, like little just chemistry things of knowing where guys are, just instinctual things can matter. And that's why I just think if they are going to mix in Simmons, you better find a spot to do it where it makes sense to try and just get things moving.
All right. Yeah, I agree with you there. On my argument that, because it seems like, JSU, Felix in the chat doesn't think that Simmons and Brown can play there together. If I run 4 out and I have Brown as a 3-point shooter, you don't think he'll get the respect where I can throw Simmons at the dunker spot and I have enough out there?
Again, I'd be fine with Simmons at center. I don't know how they view him. Do they view him as a center? Like you would have to play him at center.
I wouldn't
this
respect.
One you're going to have to, and you can do it against the Celtics.
To answer that question though, I wouldn't respect Bruce Brown as a 3-point shooter. Living with him,
so that's who you would help off of.
Oh, if KD and Kyrie aren't shooting the ball and he's shooting from 3, I'm taking my chances every time.
Okay, and I mean, if that happens, then I tell Simmons, hey, come sit down. This isn't working, And
I mean, if he beats you, he beats you.
You're going to get a lot of box scores like that Cleveland game when, Kyrie had 34. Yeah, Durant had 25. But guess who took the most shots on that team? Bruce Brown, because they tried to force him to take all the shots. So if he is just falling into the corner for those threes, everyone's going to look at him over there and be like, it's better than those two guys. So they'll just let him fling those things.
Well, it is. It is better than those two guys.
Yeah, it's 100% better than those guys. Yeah. Anything them guys can shoot.
Yeah, anyone shooting more is better. Like anybody. I don't care who it is. Seth Curry, it doesn't matter. Anyone shooting besides those two, if you're a team, you have to take that.
Well, Seth's like 47% from 3 since joining the Nets. So
still, though, spread, if we're talking about giving up shots, I would rather Seth Curry be the leading shot taker than Kyrie or KD. I think if you do that, I think that is plus for your team. No matter, I don't care what you say. I rather have them shooting over those two.
Can we just address Gregory Russo? I'm fine with you like mentioning how like the Nets aren't as great and like they still struggle on defense. You do not address Robert Williams. He is not there. This is not the same Celtics teams, Gregory Russo. Like you assume it's the same team. It is not. Please address that in the chat. I don't want to hear how Cleveland could have snuck a game out if Jared Allen played.
Cleveland could have snuck a game out. Too. Cleveland was getting smacked so bad. Did you watch the game?
The only reason they came back is because Brooklyn got bored.
Yes, they were so bored, Spread. Thank you. That was it. They literally were like, is this real? Like they were looking at Karis LeVert was the ghost of Karis LeVert playing on offense. Kyrie was probably thinking,
you can't win a series with two players. The Cavs did it with Kyrie and LeBron when Kevin Love was out. Like,
Gregory Russo's the same one telling me that because I'm a fan of the Bucks, I can never bet against them or pick against them or anything. That's just illegal. He still talks about it to this day.
Mangone's a Boston fan.
I was waiting.
I'm waiting for Gregory. Boston, if I have to.
I'm from Boston.
I was waiting for them to get on you. Gregory just gets on me. He lets you guys slide, I guess.
Yeah. Well, maybe they don't know. Mangone's like a hidden Celtics fan. He doesn't really say it that much.
He's a hidden all sports fans.
It's mainly because when I was younger, I picked players, right? And then like once I started doing DFS, like the fandom died for sure. It's not the same. Do I get excited here and there for games? Yeah, but it's just not the same with DFS now.
Yeah, no, it's completely different. When you put money on something, you're not a fan anymore. Like that's it. Unless you're just only betting on your team. You know what I mean?
I think I bet against the Kings like 34 times out of the 82 games.
Yeah.
Well, I knew Patriots fans who they would only bet on the Patriots, and they would do it like every week. They would find some way
it's hard to
bet
argue
on the
against
Patriots
that, right?
every week.
Yeah. Real quick, I have one last thing to say. I already said it once. Gregory Russo, I don't care if the Nets were, or Cleveland was getting smashed and they came back. I don't care if Brooklyn has a terrible defense. I want you to address Robert Williams, Gregory Russo. Stop ducking me.
All right, Tyler, since you are the contrarian here, do you want to, sum up this series before we move on?
No, I mean, I just think it's going to be a really good series. I see where the guys are coming from taking the plus money on the Nets because this team was the favorite to win the East all year. Like, now you're going to give them a plus money ticket in the first round. Everyone's going to look at it and be like, oh, free money. I think this series is going to be a lot tougher than people expect. I think Boston's going to etch it out and ruin a lot of people's tickets.
Yeah, and I'm not saying I don't think it's going to be easy for the Nets. And part of this is me thinking, boy, let's say I bet this Brooklyn game and they sneak out game one, I could just arb right off. I could arb right off if they win game one.
Brad, can you put this Otters on the over in the chat? Can you put that message out there?
It's a great point.
Please, just so people can highlight the fact that
if you're just listening, in the car,
Stars don't play defense in the regular season. They don't give a shit. Like guys like KD and Kyrie, they have rings, right? Like listen to what Giannis said about seeding. They literally don't care. They don't care who they play. Like the real teams don't give a shit. They don't. You think the Nets care they're seventh? No. You think the Bucks care that they're third title? Like they don't care. They do not. And the Bucks got the best draw anyways. But I still don't believe they care. Like I don't think it mattered.
You need to win. You're going to play the best teams anyway.
Right. Like I think that's the way they thought anyway. Like if they had to play the Nets in the first round, they probably would have said it's inevitable. We're going to play them at some point. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I just don't like that. That's a fact. Like that's because they try harder on defense in the playoffs. I think everyone locks down because you see defensive game plans change. We saw it with the Hawks in Charlotte. It didn't work for Charlotte, but we saw them at least do things to Trae all game. And that didn't happen all year. Like teams didn't actually like try and do that for an entire game. Maybe in like the fourth quarter or in certain spots they would, but not an entire game. You're going to see that in the playoffs, all playoffs, every series, and you'll see teams adjust and do different things. They're not going to do the same thing. Look at what Minnesota did with Cat, another prime example. Like putting a smaller guy on him, bringing the center over when he caught the ball down low and give him that like big double team, get the ball out of his hands, make him shoot bad shots, keep him from the paint as much as possible. Like they're going to do this with the best player on every team for every series. You're going to see it. So
and if you're listening in the car or you do what I do and you're cleaning up the house listening on YouTube and not looking at the chat, Otter wrote they had a terrible D last year, then top 5 in the playoffs. And JSU, something that you said I think is a perfect segue into the next series because you said it doesn't matter who they play, but I'm going to turn around and argue that the Milwaukee Bucks got the closest thing to a first round bye in the first round, right? Because I even think, and Travis will get to this, assuming they win and we don't run out of time, I think the Heat are going to have more problems in the Hawks than the Bucks are going to have with the Bulls. The Bulls got off to a great start, but I really think that Lonzo and his defensive ability meant so much to this team. And now you're relying on Caruso, who's not 100% either. And you got a center that can't protect the rim. You're going against one of the best defenses in the league, the most balanced team in the league. This team won the title last year, and they didn't even shoot the ball that well. There's so many games where Jrue Holiday was like 4 of 20, or Chris Middleton was like 5 of 19, and they were still able to get the victories. So I'd love for you guys to hear about this. I'm assuming that everybody agrees with me that this should be an easy series. I'm just contemplating whether or not I do a Bucks sweep or a Bucks 4-1 ticket when I'm looking at it. Bucks -2.5 opened at +100. It's now -175, and rightfully so. I don't see how the Bulls even get 2 games. So, Travis, talk to me about this series, and then maybe the idea that the Bucks have an advantage or a disadvantage by having the easiest first-round opponent.
Yeah, I mean, I'm literally just going to keep this as quick as possible. Like, I'll let Dear District Man jump up and down and talk about them. 4-1 or 4-0, bet the Bucks. Either one, what you think it is, that's how it's ending. It's ending in one of those ways. My lean is 4-0. Bucks will go over to the next round. They'll play either the Nets or Celtics after that dogfight, and it's going to be a fun next round.
All right, yeah, title. It seems like it's quick and easy here. But, I mean, so let's assume you agree. Do you think that gives them an advantage, right? If I'm looking at their title odds, that, hey, we're probably going to be out of here and get some rest right after this round 1. The team was beat up heading into the finish line. Talk to me about the series, and then if it's an advantage or a disadvantage to not be tested in round 1.
I mean, everything you've said, I've been on board with. I thought the Bulls with Lonzo, like this team goes with Lonzo pretty much. Obviously, DeRozan can hoop and all that, but Lonzo's defense and just facilitating, making open threes, this team's a joke. I mean, I wish from a betting perspective, I wish they didn't get the Bucks because you just can't bet -1,000. I thought The market still probably thought the Bulls were better than I actually thought they were. 4-0, 4-1. I 100% agree with both of you. 4-0 is +255 on DraftKings, whereas 4-1 is +190. I'll go with the 4-0 then. I'll get the little better odds. Thing with the Bucks is just like Giannis always talks about staying in the moment, this and that. Like every single game, especially in the playoffs, I think they're going to want to prove a point. Like last year, they 4-0'd, they got the more rest, and then they just every single game they just take it one game at a time. And if the Bucks playing good basketball, the Bulls just can't beat them. Like DeRozan has to go for 50, and they still might not even beat them. So Bucks 4-0, and you're asking like looking ahead of the next series, is this good? Is this bad? I think this is really good, and I think why it's really good is because what you said, Spread, and the rest. We're expecting Boston and the Nets to be a dogfight. They play a lot of minutes. Steve Nash plays his guys. Boston's going to have to play their guys a lot of minutes. If that series goes 6 or 7 and the Bucks get out in 4 and 5 and you have those extra days rest, I think it's the Nets too. So then the Bucks get home court against the Nets. And I just think that Giannis is the best player in the world when it comes to making the most impact when he's on the court. Defensive end takes a lot of that into consideration. KD and Kyrie, yeah, they're better scorers for sure, but I'll take the best player in the series. And this Bucks team's tough, man. They're definitely not unbeatable. It's like no one's unbeatable, but like the Suns will get to stuff like that. But I think they're way better than the Bulls, and I think the rest is going to definitely help them after that series.
All right. So Title thinks it's an advantage to get an easy first round. Do you agree, JSU?
Is it an advantage? Yeah. For a team like the Bucks, I agree with Title that the rest is probably better for them. You know what I mean? A team that's kind of been there. They've got some veterans. Giannis is still young, but like he's got tread on those tires now.
And how he plays too. Like he just plays like harder. He doesn't conserve any energy like some people know how to do.
No, he doesn't. Title. I think he struggles trying to do. Like I think that's how he gets hurt sometimes. You can see in the All-Star game trying to conserve. He's a gamer, right? He's the gamer. Like when the lights come on, he's the gamer. I think him and KD are similar in that way. Just give them a ball, they're gamers. You know what I mean?
Just get locked in.
Yeah. Locked in. Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? But the only way to bet this series is like these guys said. I mean, 4-0, 4-1. It's the only way to do it because, like Title said, you're not betting a -1,000 or whatever the heck it is. I've been saying the Bulls are frauds since day one, really. I mean, even if Lonzo was here, it wouldn't help. It would help them a little in the series. The Bucks would still win, and I'd still probably bet. I'd probably get better odds on 4-1, and I'd bet that one. But I'm not a fan of that team. And I think that the Bucks are, they're one of the best teams in the entire NBA. I just can't take the team that I think is the biggest fraud in the East to even win a game. I don't think so. I'm just gonna go with 4-0, to put a few shekels on it, see if I can hit on it. If it's 4-1, it's 4-1. I think 4-1 is what, plus 190 or something
on DraftKings.
Yeah,
Price shopping. Maybe there's better out there, but yeah.
If I only did one, I would actually do the sweep. They were pretty adamant about sweeping Miami last year, and I think we'll get the same one.
And
so
Tyler, why I say that too, like it just how Giannis speaks in all the interviews and how the team operates is just like every single game is like just independent to everything else. Doesn't matter if they're down 3-0 in the series, up like they just like every game is just like game 7, how like Giannis and the rest of the team treat it. That's why I think 4-0 makes a lot of sense. Is they're not going to see, we're up 3-0, we can take the foot off the gas pedal, try different stuff a little bit. Like just not how a Giannis-led team works.
And Tyler, so handicapping the NBA all year, right? We kind of had a contest on who could come up with the best stats to describe how bad the Bulls are against good teams. And I have a new one that I found for you. So since 2003, 2004, the Bulls have the worst net rating against all the other playoff teams. So, historic levels of inefficiency here with the Chicago Bulls. I assume you're with us. And 4-1, 4-0, how do we approach it?
Bet them both and just scrape the money. I mean, I don't know how the Bulls win 2 games. I know the 4-0 is plus 250, the 4-1's plus 190.
Yeah.
I'm just going to take my money either way. If the Bulls win 2 games, they can have my money. I don't see them winning 2 games. I mean, what's their path to victory outside of shooting like 60% in a game and winning it? Like DeMar DeRozan, if he gets hot, they have the bodies to throw on him and slow him down. Same thing with Levine. And they have no other path. Like Vucevic isn't going to beat him up down low and win the game for him. So it's either 4-1 or 4-0 for me.
All right. Yeah, that was a pretty quick one. And Travis, I know that you do have to go really soon because you're doing some Major League Baseball content. But we do have enough time because I want to ask you this. I think you think that the Hawks win tomorrow night, right? And they're going to Cleveland. So that'll be on the road, a little different for the Hawks this year. Fun stat, though, for the Hawks, right? They were 14-27 against the spread on the road, but 8-8 when they're favorites. Right now, they're -3 in Cleveland. Talk to me about the Hawks and the Cavaliers, and if they advance, how do you see that going against the Heat? You're muted, because we got to hear this.
Sorry. I got -2.5 on the Hawks. So I already bet that. You can get the 2.5 instead of the 3.5 if you'd like. So
two at DraftKings now.
There you go.
Some Cavaliers money. I thought there'd be a little buyback. A team at home. Darius.
Do we know if Jared Allen's in? Is that for sure yet, or what's the word on that?
I'll check Basketball Monster right now, but I keep getting bad reports out of everything I read there. He's doubtful right now on Basketball Monster.
Yeah, I assumed if he didn't play in that other game, he wasn't playing in this one. I did see his warm-up, and he looked pretty good. That's why I was like kind of confused that he didn't play, but you never know with those. Like Zion, you see him, 360 dunking, and, the dude's not playing at all. So, but anyways, let's go back to this one. Like, I think the Hawks end up taking care of the Cleveland Cavaliers. So because I think they take care of them, I think they run into the Heat. Now, I talked with JSU a little bit about this on the preview show that we did on Run Pure Sports on our YouTube channel for free. But I want that Hawks plus money wherever it's at. Like, I want to see what the number is. Of course, if it's like plus 200, it probably won't be. That's probably not for my liking. But I think you're going to get a pretty tasty number on the Hawks. Now, hear me out. I think John Collins will come back. And the thing I like about this Hawks team is spread. You talked about it when we saw the Hornets, right? And I know the Hornets are different than the Heat. Let's clarify that. So no one
they're like polar opposites.
I want to mention that. But the thing you saw during that game, and we saw last year as well, what I want to say here is the Hawks have enough weapons to be able to do so many different things where I think they can scheme against them. Now, they need John Collins back. I think that's very important. Also, Bam Adebayo, what if he doesn't play in game 1? There's a chance he doesn't because of COVID protocols. Now, I think he is going to. It sounds like Eric Spoelstra is keeping in contact every single day, but I want to see what the plus money is. Now, this could blow up in my face and the Hawks just aren't there, and it could just be fine, and I would not be on the Cavs. But I do think this Hawks team is built to do well in the playoffs. All year long, they were banged up. They always had some type of piece missing. If they can just get it all back together, finally, I think they can be really, really strong. So at the end of the day, Spread, I think this Hawks team getting plus money can beat this Heat team. JSU talked about James Harden breaking down. Could Jimmy Butler be breaking down soon? I mean, he is one of those guys. I expect when the drop-off does happen, I expect it to be not like Russell Westbrook's, but I expect it to be a little hard. He is more of an effort guy, though, where I think, yes, Westbrook's an effort guy, but Jimmy's a winner, right? He still gets the job done, and Westbrook I'm not a huge fan of. But I think this Hawks team has enough weapons to be able to pull it off at the plus money. I think the value you are going to get is going to be really good, and I'm not a big believer in this Miami Heat team. I think they're a little fraudulent. I don't think they're a great 1 seed. And I hope the Hawks can get it done so we can see how they shape up against the Heat.
All right, great breakdown there, and we appreciate you coming on, guys. If Travis disappears, it's because he does have Major League Baseball commitment today, but we thank you for jumping on. Travis, title, this is kind of like choose your own adventure. Give us a winner tomorrow night and then preview that winner against the Miami Heat.
I'm right with Mangone. We're lockstep, holding hands 2 for 2. I got the Hawks against Cleveland, got the Hawks against Miami at hopefully a pretty big underdog number. I do. I just haven't been. There's teams that you just watch all year and that you love them or you don't like them. Miami's kind of like Chicago, where I just don't like them. Now, obviously, Miami plays Chicago. That series 4-1, maybe 4-2, whatever. But man, like this Hawks team, they were just here last year. It's pretty much the same team they're bringing back. Trae Young, we're talking the best players in the series. Yeah, offense and defense. Well, Trae Young's the best scorer in this series for sure. Is facilitating that pick and roll with Capella. I definitely like. They got shooters around. John Collins, I'm really interested. So, Mangone, I'll go to you. I expect John Collins to be back too. But like, how do you throw him in the starting lineup? We're same thing we're talking about the Sims and all that stuff. Like Gallo at the 4. Like, I think Collins has to come off.
Well, the difference is he played with those guys all year.
Exactly. He hasn't.
But the Hawks have been playing good basketball as of late with Gallo there, and Collins has been out for a while. And Collins came back for a short time, and they brought him off the bench.
But
that'd be fine. He would still help.
Options, right?
Oh,
that's the thing I like about this Hawks team. They have enough options where if things don't work, you can kind of make pivots throughout the series. I know James is sitting back right now.
I know. I can't wait to throw it to him. Like he is like.
I see what you're doing.
No, hold on. Yeah, before
it looks like the beginning of the MMA fight when the guy's about to come out from round 1.
No, I agree. Like the reason I like the Hawks is like they can do a lot of stuff. I just think as a Hawks like backer, I'd want him to come off the bench. They played with the same starting lineup so much recently. They've had good chemistry. I want John Collins, and he can be more aggressive off the bench. And that's what I'm saying. And the Kungwu, John Collins lineup off the bench, I think is interesting. But yeah, they've been here last year. They got scores. You go to the bench, they got scores too. You're going to get a pretty decent number, 1-8 seed, I think. So give me the dog.
All right, we got 2 on the dog, JSU, but we're ready for you. Cue it up, right? We're going to hear about some depth. We're going to hear about some coaching. What do you got for us?
Yeah, so one thing real quick, Jared Allen just popped up questionable for
he just got
Friday's
upgraded?
Game. Yeah, so he's questionable for Friday's game.
Give me I would take Cleveland with Jared Allen over the Heat 2 spread. So
so this is
I'm taking
you're going either way.
I'm taking the dog either way against the Heat.
Okay. You're taking Cleveland against Miami?
If Jared Allen is in, yes.
So you would take
it's just a Miami fade.
You're taking them for sure.
It's a Miami
fade. So you're taking it out. You're saying Atlanta loses if Jared Allen's in. Is that what you're saying?
Man, yeah, well, I'm more on the Miami fade in that series. I'm probably just gonna stay away betting tomorrow, but I don't know, man. That'd be a lot closer. I'd still probably lean Hawks slightly, but I'm Miami fade with the plus money expecting out.
Just speaking of that game real quick tomorrow, like I don't know how I can touch the Cavs after watching that dude coach. His best players in that game that Cleveland played against the Nets, he played 29 and 26 minutes, and Darius Garland, who only played 39. How are your best players only playing 30? Darius Garland should have played close to 45 minutes at least. He should have came out for like maybe a minute and a half in each part of the half. How is he not playing 45 minutes against KD and Kyrie? It was so confusing watching that game that Garland didn't play almost.
You think after Kyrie was
young,
started off on fire, he's just like, let's just start preparing for Friday.
Well, then my other thing is, so the two guys who the offense was not flowing at all until 2 guys came on the floor, Rondo and Kevin Love. And then the offense started to pick up a little steam. You could see it right away. Why did they only play 29 and 26 minutes?
Kevin
don't
Love was
understand.
bad. I don't know
Rondo can
why.
play.
I don't see why Love was playing over Markkanen either. Why was Markkanen taking that shot? The shot.
There's another
they had a
Jared Allen
chance.
update just now.
Okay.
What did it say?
It's Shams tweet. It says he's going to attempt to play tomorrow, so he's at least going to go out there and give it a shot.
Give it a shot.
Yeah, you'll be surprised. Kevin Love had the
important.
highest plus minus in that game, by the way.
Yeah,
And-
that's
and
why it was ridiculous
Who was
that
the
he
next
wasn't in
guy?
there.
Title?
Hold on, let me pull it up. It
Well, why
was
are you pulling it up,
Rondo
Title?
was 2 or 3.
Taylor, why are you pulling it up?
yeah, Rondo was 2, Garland was, or Levert was 2. So yeah,
Levert? I thought he looked bad that game.
he played
too.
40. Well, he shot the ball
Played
awful, but
40 minutes.
yeah, he played 40 minutes. But yeah, Rondo and Levert. And by the way, get Okoro off the court. 13 minutes -9. That is the worst basketball player in the hit. I hate him. He cannot play a minute. So maybe I'd have to take Miami over Cleveland if he gets minutes.
I'm with you there, but I just don't understand the coaching. Why isn't Kevin Love playing 35 minutes? What are you saving him for? You need the game. Why? So I don't trust even with Jared Allen attempting to play. Like, if Kevin Love's on a roll, why wouldn't I don't trust that the coach is just going to leave him in. I just don't trust it. Like, they needed offense in that game. They needed it badly. Kevin Love came in and gave them offense. Rondo came in and gave them leadership and ran the offense and got guys good shots. Why aren't you just letting them play? Forget about Okoro, Lamar Stevens.
Yeah.
Forget about those guys. Even Markkanen if you have to. Like, forget about him too, if that's what it comes down to. Play Garland. Play him off ball. I personally love Garland as a player. That dude can play on ball. He can play off ball. He doesn't need to play on ball. He can still play off ball and be unbelievable. We saw it with Rondo a little bit in that game. He can do either or. He's not like a guy like LeBron. I think LeBron needs the ball in his hands to be by far his best self. Like, I think that's what he needs. That doesn't mean he can't play off ball. I think Darius Garland could be almost as good either way, is my point. So I don't think Rondo being in affects him. So what are we doing? I just didn't understand what they were trying to do. Maybe they'll do it here because it's like do or die, but I don't know. I don't trust it. And look at the Hawks. They were up 30 in that game in the fourth quarter. With 6 minutes left, they still had their guys in trying to pound them even more. I mean, they're going to be ready to roll their guys out for whatever it takes. If Trey's got to play 40-something minutes, he's going to play 40-something minutes. Like, I trust that a little bit more. So I think the Hawks win. But either if the Hawks win, I hate them against Miami. I think it's like the worst matchup. I think they're going to have really trouble because Miami's one of the better teams at switching. They can switch every position pretty much, and they give teams issues. They stay in front of the ball handlers really well. Obviously, Trey's really tough, so it'll be interesting to see how they go about guarding Trey, whether they hedge out, whether they double and force the ball out of his hands. But they got quick enough defenders at almost every spot to I think, do some damage. And then Bogdanovich, Kevin Huerter, those type of guys, DeAndre Hunter even, they're kind of like slow-footed. Like, they're going to struggle as is one-on-one to get by guys. So it's going to all rely on Trae Young being able to get in the middle of the paint. If he can do it for an entire series, they would have a shot. I don't think he can do it for an entire series against literally the team that I view as the best switching team in all of the NBA in Miami. So I'll take Miami here.
Question for you, JSU. What price would you get on Atlanta? Like, everything has a price, right? If I told you it was 1,000 to 1, you'd probably take a stab, right? Of course, I'm not saying that'll even be available, but
they're going to be minus 600 plus 400 plus 450 on the comeback.
Yeah, like, what's the price? I want to know JSU's price because he's the guy that's highest on the Heat, I think. So that's what I'm curious about.
Yeah, it would have to be a big number. It would have to be a big. I just don't think they can do it. I don't think they have the weapons. I've watched their perimeter guys outside of Trey. They're not a team I think can do it unless Trae Young's putting up 40 nightly. And I think Miami's got the guys to clench down and give him problems at least. Maybe not saying they're going to completely shut out Trey for an entire series. I don't think that, but I think he's going to have games where he really struggles. And what's going to happen when he struggles, Mangone? Who's going to be the next guy? Who are you trusting? Kevin Herter? Yeah,
I mean,
you going to trust Bogdanovich?
I definitely trust those guys more.
I was gonna say, I that's why I'm on it too, because I do actually like the secondary pieces.
Oof.
That's why I like them though.
Yeah, I mean, so like just to like
give me Tyler Hero. Give me Tyler Hero and Kyle Lowry and Bam over Kevin Herter and Bogdan. And even if Jimmy got shut out, like give me those guys. Like I'll take those guys over Kevin Herter and DeAndre Hunter and Bogdan. Like I don't know.
You brought up great points, JC. Like I definitely don't disagree with like a lot of what you've said. But I have to go for the MLB show because it's starting in 7 minutes, so I should probably get out of here so you guys can finish up. And I do want to say that it's going to be a fun Eastern Conference series. And spread, here's my best bet tomorrow night. Danilo Gallinari gets the job done.
Love it. So, Travis, real quick before you go, who wins the East?
That is the tough one. My lean is the Bucks. I kind of hate. I'm trying to find a way to like not make that my take where it's like Suns and Bucks again, but I do feel kind of good about it being Suns and Bucks again. I'm hoping by tomorrow I can somehow find a different angle to get on with Big T when we talk about the Western Conference, but I like the Bucks to get out of the East right now. We'll see if that's my final thoughts tomorrow with Big T. So check that out at 11 a.m. on the Run Pure Sports channel. But good luck, guys, and I'll watch the end to see where your guys' final stakes are at.
All right, thanks, Travis. All right, Tyler. Tomorrow night's game, we'll do a full preview tomorrow. So just kind of give us the winner and then how you expect that first round series to go.
Yeah, I think the Hawks win that game tomorrow. I think Cleveland's just still too inexperienced in the playoffs. They're still beat up. They're still missing, 5 guys from when they started the season. Even if Allen plays, he's not going to be as good as he was with a banged up finger because it's on his main hand he uses. I think it's on his left hand. He's left-handed. He blocks a lot of shots with his left hand. He even said it. He's like, I can't play defense at the level I want to with this finger banged up because if I go up to block a dunk, slam my hand off the ball, all of a sudden I'm back in the locker room because my finger's messed up again. So if he plays, he's not going to be as effective as he usually is. So I think the Hawks do win the game. I don't think the Hawks have a chance against the Heat. I'm with JSU on this one. They'll be able to switch everything on Trey. If you want to play three-point shooting, they'll pull their defensive guys off the floor and throw Hero, Robinson, and Max Strauss at you. You want to play big, they'll pull the small guys off the floor and put Yurtsev in next to Bam when he comes back. If you just want to go defense, they'll throw Vincent, Butler, Hero, and the rest of the guys at you. So they have so many different ways they can beat you. I got to take the Heat in that series. There ain't a price you can give me on Atlanta.
Don't forget Caleb Martin, too.
Yeah, Martin's another guy in that same.
He's just underrated, too, I think, anyways.
And I know everyone says he's washed up because of how bad he's played in the last couple of years. I still think Oladipo has something left in the legs if you're only going to play him 15 minutes a game.
He's someone who, like, I could see the first game or two, them barely playing at all, maybe not playing. And then, like, let's say the series is not going the way. You could just see him, all of a sudden come out and start to get some solid minutes. And I agree. He looks like he has something at least.
He's not going to be afraid of the pressure either. He's played in the playoffs before. So when this team gets into that spot where they play hot potato at the end of a game, say, and he's like, put me out there, coach. Just let me slow this down for a second. Shoots a 3, it goes in, calms the guys down. So I could see that.
All right. Well, yeah, great preview, guys. Loved having you guys on the show, but I'm going to do for each of you the same thing I did to Travis. Title, last question for the show. Who do you have coming out of the East?
Yeah, I got the Bucks. I think it's the best player. I was on the Nets last year, so it's not like you can just say because I'm a homer, blah blah blah. It's nice when your favorite team has Giannis and a very good team. So I like I said, I think that they get a bye in the first round. I think it does benefit them in the second round. That I think Brooklyn and Boston go to war, and I don't think the Bucks go to war against the Bulls. And Giannis can play 30. Giannis will be more fresh. He'll play 38 minutes where he plays 32, 33 in the regular season. So the Bucks only get better. And like you said last year, Spread, I'm glad you said it. Drew Holiday shot so poorly in a lot of those games. Middleton had a lot of off games too, and they still found a way to get it done. I think they have a lot of outs to win. I think the defense will come together, but it'll be tough. I mean, the playoffs are never easy. The East is loaded. I don't expect it just to be a cakewalk through anywhere. It'll be fun.
All right, JSU, who you got?
Title, I've said this for a while now. I think Chris Middleton is the most hot and cold player in the NBA, and it's not
because he
even
takes
close.
all contested shots because he's not fast enough. That's why.
Yeah, you want to
I
talk
agree.
about a guy who can come out and in a quarter have 20, and then a guy who can in a quarter literally like you don't even realize he's on the floor.
Yeah.
Like that's the player that we're talking about in Chris Middleton.
He could not be a stud on his own team. Like he couldn't be that guy. He needs like a Giannis, and he's too slow. Every shot's contested.
Agree 100%. I think Drew Holiday is again going to be the X factor. And so, listen, even in the Phoenix series, we talk about him shooting bad, but he had some monster games. Like,
oh yeah,
if he gives them a few monster games like that, if they go that far, they're going to win again. Like that's going to be the key, and that's where like Phoenix has the best shot. I think if the Bucks, if it is Bucks and Phoenix, I think they have the best shot of slowing them down because of Cam Johnson and Mikal Bridges and Jay Crowder and just all those wing defenders that they can throw at these guys. That's how you do. And then you get CP3, what he brings with the leadership and just an overall presence, and Devin Booker and all those guys. Like they would have the best shot from that side, I think, of winning a series against the Bucks, no doubt in my mind. So say that the Bucks and Nets can play in the Eastern Conference, right? If it all goes Eastern Conference Finals.
No, they would be
round
the next
two.
Round
they would
two.
be round two.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be Miami gets them.
It would be Miami against Philly or Toronto.
Yeah, the one plays the 4-5, two
The
plays
one
the
plays
3.
the 4-5. Okay, so I think the Nets. I think KD's big foot stays off the line this round, and I think the Nets get it done. I love the Nets with Kyrie and KD. I think it's like a perfect combo. There's no hard. I kind of like that there's no Harden too. Like they can just play off each other. Like they can do. You can tell too. They're like wicked tight. Like they love playing with each other. Like I can tell that from watching them. Like they're going to be really good in this playoffs, and they're going to lock down defensively too. I think that's an underrated theme with this Nets team. Is everyone's talking about how bad they are defensively. I want to see it because I've seen KD and Kyrie at times in the playoffs lock up. I want to see it. Like I think they show again. I think they show up in the playoffs defensively and give more effort, especially individually, taking their matchups a little more seriously. KD against Tatum is going to be awesome in the first round. I'm going to love watching those guys battle. I'll love it when KD plays Giannis and those guys battle. You know what I mean? Because I don't think KD will guard him the entire series, but you're going to be damn crazy if you don't think KD in certain spots is going to say, give me Giannis. You know what I mean? Like he's going to do that. And I think they have the best shot of beating the Bucks. I think they're really the only, in my opinion, they're the real only threat to the Bucks, like in the East. And the East is loaded, so that's saying something. And then, since I think the Nets are going to win, I do think the West is a little more predictable. I honestly think like it's a 2-man race in the West. Like that's it.
Yeah. Tyler, who you got coming out of the East?
I got to side with the guys. Give me the Bucks. I mean, I can't trust the Nets with 2 guys and their bench being all kind of just patched together. Yeah, they could do it, but I'm not seeing it. Boston, I think they'd have to play a perfect series to get past the Bucks. And Miami, I think it would just have to somehow revert back to 2 years ago where they had the Bucks number and they're hitting every 3 they shoot. So I think it's going to be Milwaukee, and I'm with JSU. It's a 2-man race on the other side. I don't know who his second team is. I say it's the Warriors. I don't think the Grizzlies are ready yet. So it's either Phoenix or Golden State for me. And I think Phoenix has the edge on Golden State. So I think it's just a rematch. And on BetMGM, you can bet the exact outcome of the finals. Milwaukee to beat Phoenix or Phoenix to beat Milwaukee are both 10-1. I'm probably just going to bet both of those.
I like that. That's a great.
I'm going to come at Greg Russo for one more time for Mangone. So you like Boston over the Nets. Why do you like Boston over the Nets? They got 2 dudes in my mind. Who do they got? They got Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Who else they got? Well, Marcus Smart defensively. He's really good defensively. Okay. So is Bruce Brown. So who do they got? Come on. Give me something. They have 2 dudes. Those 2 dudes have to be better than Tatum and Irving. That's like, it's the playoffs, man. Look at what KD did by himself. And because Title bet the Nets, so I know he'll even talk about it, but his teammates went down and it was all on him. And look what he did by himself against the best team. Like they were the Bucks were the best team. They were the better team. They did win in the end. But look what he did by himself in the playoffs. So I don't know. What are you talking about? KD brought that. I watched LeBron James with Matthew Dellavedova one year against spread. Who did they play in that series? Do you remember who they played in the finals?
Oh, it was the 73-win Warriors.
You remember that team? LeBron and Matthew Dellavedova were giving them issues against one of the best teams we'll ever see, right? Right? Yeah. Wasn't that one of the better teams we'll ever see? They won
best team to never win a championship. I'll say that.
What are we talking about here? Stars win in the playoffs. Giannis won. Giannis won. Like, I don't understand what we're talking about. Stars. You bet on stars. Don't give me solid team. Like you bet on stars in the playoffs. Guarantee you, no solid team is winning in the playoff. Like winning the championship. I'm sorry. Those solid teams do not win championships. You need the best players. They don't have them. So
JSU doesn't care about those 2004 Pistons. Does not think it's happening again.
No. So that just went right off my out of my head.
Yeah.
Who they have? Rip Hamilton.
But that's what once in every 50 years.
Rip Hamilton, Ben Wallace, Chauncey.
There's a Prince.
Yeah.
Torian Prince.
Oh, yeah.
Rasheed Wallace. Tayshaun Prince.
Torian's still in the league.
Yeah, Torian's still in the league.
Torian's in the league. Yeah.
All right.
Well, that block that series, right? Or the series before. It might have been the Eastern one. That block.
Yeah.
Can't remember who it was on. It was like iconic though. He came from behind, pulled like a LeBron block for LeBron. Yeah.
So spread JSU and Tyler gave their West Conference quick. I'll go. I'll make it easy. It's got to be the Suns, right? Like if you're on the Suns last year, do you remember last year first round the Lakers, the 7 seed against the 2 seed. The Lakers were favored against the Suns last year in the first round. This time, that is just so crazy to think about. But this team's been legit for a long time. Very well coached, very deep. They have that guy in D-Book, CP3. So I think it's Bucks Suns too. And man, like that series is going to be crazy. I think the Suns,
because the Suns are better.
I think the Suns are the better basketball team. I do agree with that. It's just, man, when Giannis gets in a certain zone, like the game 6 of the finals, like it doesn't matter. You're talking JSU's talking about players and all that. It doesn't matter about the team because it's not like the Bucks team's bad. Like they got all the guys, but I agree with you. The Suns are the better basketball team. So that'd be one hell of a series. As last year was too. That'd be a great series.
All right. Well, I want to thank you guys for coming on. Title, why don't we let you, because I don't see you as often.
Wait, Title, you wouldn't say that Devin Booker and CP3 are 2 of the better players in the entire East?
Would I say?
West, in the Western Conference. Wouldn't you put them up as 2 of the better players in the entire West?
Yeah, D-Book for sure. I would probably. But
there you go. So, it still stands with that team.
Well, yeah.
They have a really solid team outside of them, but they also have a dude. You know what I mean? Like,
I just meant like in the Bucks series, if you're taking the best player as we talk about in the series going. The Suns definitely, yeah.
That's my point, though, is like I get like these solid teams. Like Miami is a really solid team.
But Jimmy Butler's not. That's why I think they're frauds, because in the playoffs, like Jimmy, what do you go 32 minutes without a bucket against the Bucks or whatever? Like he's just not he don't have that guy. That's why, I agree with that.
That's why I don't think the Heat can run through the East. You know what I mean? Like I think they can win this series for sure. But like if they match up against the Bucks or the Nets, I think they're gonna lose. Like that's just how I feel. But I put them in the bracket with like. Celtics, like they have a solid, like if we saw the Heat and the Celtics go in this round, I think it'd be a dog, like series, like back and forth. I think it'd be really close. I don't know who would win actually. Like I think it'd be that close, but I don't know. They wouldn't run through the East. I see only 2 teams, and they have the 2 best players. So ironically, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right. Title, why don't you wrap us up? Let everyone know the great content at Run Pure Sports this weekend.
Lots of sports going on. There's the NBA playoffs. Great. One of the best times of the year. MLB just started. There's MMA as always. We'll have the MMA show tomorrow. Keg on the bet side with you guys is always on with DC and me talking got NASCAR, so much sport, so many sports, golf going on right now. So all the content can be found at Run Pure Sports. Love these shows, Spread. NBA playoffs. I know you absolutely love it. Tyler loves it. You guys pump content every single day for it. So like I said last time, you do a great job on this show. Love seeing how the audience and how much it's grown in the past. The hard work pays off. And last year was great for the playoffs, made a lot of money, and I hope to run it back and be in the Deer District for the NBA Finals when Giannis hoists another one. That is the ultimate goal.
All right. Thank you for joining us, Title. We will be back tomorrow. We'll have AP and Glaucoma and Tyler, of course. We will be doing the Western Conference preview. Looking forward to that. JSU, do you want to give everyone some words of wisdom before we sign off?
No, I mean, this was a fun show. I love talking hoops. Good luck to everyone in their bets. And yeah, I was just told I'm like a young Ken Shamrock. I friggin' loved Ken Shamrock. I'll take young Ken Shamrock. I don't know if I can fight like Ken Shamrock, but I'll take that. That's a compliment.
I was thinking, JSU, this is probably the longest you've ever been on a YouTube show without mentioning a player's price or salary, huh?
Definitely.
So, nice change of pace. Tyler, anything more before I hit end broadcast?
No, that's it. I mean, I think we touched on everything on the East. We'll be back tomorrow with the Western Conference.
Before you get out, Spread, has Tyler ever said to that question anything but nope? That he's
sometimes I'll forget, and he's got a bet that he wants to give out.
Gotcha. Okay.
Sometimes I forget the parlay. I've forgotten full games sometimes.
Fair enough. Hey, Tyler's a man of few words. He just gives out winners, but I did not expect another answer but no. So.
Tyler says yes, no, and winners. That's it. That's all he's got in his vocabulary. Yep. Yes, no, and winners.
He said, yep.
All right. Great job, guys. We will be back tomorrow. Thank you for joining us. RunPureSports.com. Promo code GetBets. Run Pure.